So I wanted to make a quick video and just explain, first of all, that I got those addressable LEDs working finally. So now everything in the electronics of the CoinBot that I had originally envisioned are now working. The two stepper motors are working. They are now stopped individually by those two limit switches. And now the addressable LEDs that I'm going to use to light the Coin Studio is also working. You can see the LEDs are lighting up now. That's good. Now the stepper motors are turning. And when I select the individual limit switches, that turns off the stepper motors. The reason I was so frustrated with the troubleshooting of those addressable LEDs was that it was actually two problems. And when I only solved one of those, I was so convinced that it was going to work. And when it didn't, it just made me all the more frustrated. But the gist of the problems were, one, that I failed to solder the power connector to the voltage lifter. And the other issue was that I had wired the LED strip incorrectly. So I'm going to show you both of those issues now. So to troubleshoot this issue, I was using my Fluke, and I was doing testing across all the rails. I tested this resistor, for example, that's supposed to be 330 ohms. But everything seemed to be working on the data line, and this was all grounded the way it was supposed to. These last two pins are supposed to be left to ground, and the data pin over here is supposed to be connected to that MOSI pin that we've talked about in the last few videos. And the MOSI pin that you can see solder in here is actually connected to the data pin on the voltage lifter. The output of that is connected to the back of this resistor, and that flows all the way out to the addressable LED strip data line on this yellow wire here. I also checked the power rail. That is supposed to be connected to this last pin here on the voltage lifter. And this wire here, this red wire, is supposed to be plus 5 volts. I could get plus 5 on the end of the wire here, but when I tested against between ground and this pin, I was getting 0. So that led me to believe when I flipped the board over, I could see that I had actually forgotten to solder these two together. And that was the main power issue for the addressable LEDs. They were not getting plus 5 volts. The other issue I was having was that I had wired the addressable LED strip incorrectly. This is plugged into the addressable LED strip here. I thought that white was data, green was ground, as it is in most applications, and red was hot. But in this application, green is actually data and white is common, or white is the ground connection, and the red is hot. So red is correct. That was plus 5 volts. Green is not ground in this instance. It is data. And then the white was ground. So I had those wired incorrectly. I had the ground and the data cable connected backwards. And so the addressable LED strip that I was using would not light up. Also, once I got those wired up correctly, you can see that I connected these wires correctly. Even though this was wired correctly, I could not get this strip to light up to save my life. I don't know what was going on. So my first guess was that I had this connected to the wrong end, that I had it connected to the wrong end of the wire here. This should be plus 5, ground, and the yellow one represented data. This is, in theory, connected correctly, but I cannot get this LED strip to light up. So either I'm using the wrong end of the cable, which, because they are diodes, they will only allow current to flow in one direction. If I have that connected on the wrong end, obviously it won't allow current to flow in the wrong direction. So, but for some reason, I just cannot get this particular strip to light up, and I had to resort back to the pill bottle with the camera studio in it in order to get any of the LEDs to show. So hopefully that helps somebody out there. and my 3 days of frustration troubleshooting this issue can help somebody else out. But I think that's enough for this video. This is day 24 of a 30-day challenge I've given myself to post a video to YouTube every day in the month of September. And as always, if you have feedback from me about how I can troubleshoot better or how I can make better videos, please leave a comment down below. But for now, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay awesome.